Thanks. They don't usually give me these things, so I'm usually behind the camera. So tonight I want to talk to you about this, a frame. But it's not the frame itself, it's what we put in the frame. So I'm a cinematographer, so my whole life revolves around frames and around filling frames. When I walk down the street, I see the world as a series of images, ways in which I can capture it to say something. And how I compose those frames depends entirely on what I'm feeling at the time. It's a form of expression. So the New York subway at 2 in the morning is a pretty lonely place, so I look for a way to frame the space that expresses that experience. Now, one of the things that I've noticed is that the world is following me in kind of a weird way. It used to be that when I said I'm a cinematographer, I photograph movies and commercials, people would look at me with wonder and they'd say, well, what does that mean? What do you do? And now it's much more common and relatable, and I hear things like, well, my son makes videos. And why is that? Well, I would say it's the consolidation of tools. When photography first started, that would be the kind of camera you were dragging around. It was a big box. And my business wasn't any different. I mean, this is the state-of-the-art camera in 1933, and it held into the 60s. I mean, I'm not going to be making a handheld music video with that thing. But all of this has changed. Imaging has gone through incredible technological breakthroughs that have not only downsized these cameras, it's democratized the process. We've gone from wooden box cameras and field cameras to cell phones and digital still cameras. How many people have a camera on your phone? So the consolidation of tools has put these cameras in your pocket, whether you wanted them there or not. So it's super cheap and it's super easy to take snapshots all the time or off-the-cuff video. And if you want better quality, digital still cameras have completely progressed by leaps and bounds. I mean, this is a video we made with 3 of these things. I keep this in my bag all the time. It's a Canon DSLR, and we used it on this. And while normally we'll put really fancy lenses on them, for this video we use this. It's a $100 piece of plastic. So the technology we used in this video, you can buy for less than the price of a few rolls of motion picture film, which is totally amazing. I mean, that means that it's a time when you don't need huge resources to be creative in this medium. So what does it mean? It means that at any point you can go out and you can take a picture of something that you find interesting. You can make a video for your friend's band. You can tell a story about something you've wanted to say. I like to give cameras to kids and then just see what happens when I say go. This is what my nephew thought was interesting about our drive to lunch. Now granted, he's 3, but that's kind of the best part. It's like you can experiment and play and you can try things. There's no right and there's no wrong. There's only doing or not doing. And so why should you do it? Well, 2 reasons. First, we're a visual species. We're innately wired to interact with the world on a visual level. And the second reason comes out of that first. As a result, there's an immense amount of power in communicating visually. I mean, these are images that change the world. But at the same time, you don't need gigantic world events to use the power of visual media. How many people have heard of Table for One? Anybody? Awesome. Table for One is this amazing photo blog, and it's exactly what I'm talking about. It's nothing earth-shattering. It's just people sitting alone at tables. But it's expressive, and there's stories there. There's characters. And it's kind of mundane and a little heartbreaking, but it's human. And it brings me to another point, which is that just taking the photo isn't enough. At that point, what have you said? I mean, imaging is about communication, and communication is a two-way experience. So you have to take those images and put them out there into the world and start a conversation. Now, it used to be that this was kind of difficult. You'd have to get a gallery to show your work or send your film off to a film festival and hope they'd play it. But now that's all changed. The internet has completely opened the world to you. In a matter of seconds, you can take a photo and post it to the internet for everybody to see. And what happens when you do? Well, you look at the Middle East or the Occupy Wall Street movement. I mean, we're being put there firsthand by the people on the ground as it's happening, as the event is unfolding. Or look at the walls. I mean, the Inside Out movement. That's incredible. I mean, it's you're getting a new perspective on people around you. Or on a lighter note, Justin Bieber, which this should be playing, but it's not. When we worked together, he was just starting out, and now he's this huge superstar. But it all goes back to him posting himself up on YouTube for people to see. So you have this amazing potential for creative communication and artistic expression that just sits in your pocket all the time. But there's one other thing that I want to say, and it's the most important thing of all, which is that it's just as important to look back on your work after you've done it and ask yourself why you did that. And there's two levels to this. The first is what were you trying to say? What was the subject you were trying to communicate? And I'm not suggesting that when you go to take the photo, you got to stop and ask yourself, okay, what's the meaning behind this? I mean, I don't think my nephew was thinking about much more than how weird we were being in the back of the car. But if you start looking at your work and you start asking yourself, did it communicate what I intended? You'll find that your eye is going to start drawing to the subject you really want to talk about more quickly. And the second aspect to that is, how are you saying it? These are two pictures of the same sunset that I took out of a plane. And the first is just an image of sunset. But the second is something totally different. It's about shape and color. So what was the style you were using in the imagery, and how did you take the photo, and did you like it? And why? I mean, always ask yourself why. Because we could sit here and we could talk about rules of photography, we could talk about lighting, we could talk about composition, about contrast, and you'll learn a lot, but you can also learn so much just looking at your own work and asking yourself, why did I do that, and did I like it? And what was the image that I made that I really stood back and said, wow, that's a great photo? And what will happen is, as you keep taking your snapshots, more and more of those images will start looking like the photo that you really love. And then one day, somebody's going to walk up to you and they're going to say, wow, I really like your style. And that's what you're developing, is your own aesthetic and your own style of commentary on the world around you. And this is the key. Because you remember the frame we talked about? That frame is you. You project yourself out onto the world with every image that you take, with what you put in it and how you frame it. And that's the key, because imaging is about communication, and what you're doing is you're communicating something about yourself, your own feelings and your own ideas. Now, to finish up, I want to do a little experiment. I want to ask everybody to take out those cameras and, come on, take them out. And I want you to take a photo of something in here that you think is really interesting. And then I want you guys to email them to me, to talk@jaronpresent.com, and we're going to make a photo blog together tonight. The blog is going to be at tedconversation.tumblr.com, and if you want to post it there yourself, you can. It's /submit. So, I mean, because you can have a conversation about anything, and you guys have your own unique perspective, and it's time you share it with the world, and I want to see it. So let's start tonight. Thanks.